guest today is Tiffany Costello, better known as House Keys, solo artist known for her ethereal, oceanic, synth-driven ambiance. I stole it from Patrick Higgins, but he works for the Weekly too, so it's okay. Tiffany, nice to meet you. Lovely pad here on South Main Village. I was listening to some of your songs, and they're incredibly beautiful and poignant, and I just love how they just kind of slowly unfold like a story, right? And so I was wondering, how do you start your songwriting process? Where does that start?
So I do a lot of experimentation. As you can see, I have a lot of pedals and toys. I usually throw something out, like I'll try, okay, I'm gonna try a loop here. A lot, and just experiment and see what happens. I'm always recording my practices, so I always hit record, because then I'm able to go revisit something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually sounded really cool. Even I did an exercise with myself where, to get over the idea that I can only put good stuff out, I just started putting up stuff on Instagram of what I was playing, because I'm solo. I don't know. I only have myself to
for feedback.
Bounce ideas
you and your
off
cats.
Exactly, or my cats. So I would put it up on Instagram to just let go of perfection and let go of this has to be perfect. Obviously I just said the same thing twice. And people I would kind of see the feedback on Instagram of what people were saying. And I go from there, and I'm usually able
crowdsourcing a little bit.
Crowdsourcing, and that's more like just consideration, I guess. But a lot of it's I'm literally improvising, and I'm recording what I'm improvising. When I went to record in Iceland, I actually took a lot of the improvised clips, and we ran them through a Nagra tape machine and turned them into loops and kind of distorted them. But those were literally sounds and samples that I just created by experimentation with different instruments and different pedal settings and that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that insight. You trust and value the opinions of your fans, obviously.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've traveled a lot and lived in a lot of cities. I was reading up on you: New York City, Seattle, Denver, Iceland, all over the country and different countries. So how has that influenced your songwriting?
So I would say in Denver, I got back into working on music, which started a little more grungy than it is now, but Denver's a pretty goth and grungy area. Their music scene's fun in that way. And then when I moved to Seattle, Seattle's got a really great experimental avant-garde ambient scene, and Seattle's really moody. And I was in Seattle when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
So
lots of emotions there.
A lot of emotions. I picked up my Fender Rhodes when I was living in Seattle, which is an instrument I've wanted my entire life. And so really being in the lockdown, and I went through a breakup, and being in that state of mind, I started creating a lot of the vibe that my music sounds like now, which is floaty, emotional. I like to say that I write emotion, not music.
I like that.
So I'm always trying to find, I'm trying to express some kind of emotion, and so Seattle was pretty moody. And then New York was tough. I didn't play any shows out there.
I hear it's a pretty tough town to make it.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra said that.
Yeah, I lived in New York because I've always wanted to, and I needed to know. I moved during the pandemic when I got pandemic rent out there, which was I'll never be able to afford New York again.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, so that was mostly also just more experimentation. I booked South by Southwest, which pushed me towards, I have to create a set. And anytime I have a deadline, that's whenever I can do most of my work. I'm really bad at planning ahead, but if I have a deadline coming up, I work all the way up until I'm a last minute person. And so that definitely helps push me towards creating stuff. And then Iceland, I actually recorded there. And I recorded at Sigur Rós' studio in Alfoss, Iceland, and it was just dream come true. Same room that they recorded the Parentheses album. They recorded Talk in there. They recorded I'm blanking on the Green album right now.
It's not a quiz somewhere.
Yeah. So the places definitely influence and bring things.
Well, speaking of Iceland, you're going back there. The last time the Weekly wrote about you, you kind of ended by talking about your return, I believe, for an album. But let me know, you're going back, and what's it for?
So I recorded half the album in Iceland last October. I worked with Albert Finnbogason, and he's exactly who I was introduced to him by another person who's very fluid in the Iceland world, and he's a perfect fit. He's not only got the ambient background, but he's also loves all the emo music I love. So I recorded half of my album there, and then I'm going back in January to finish the other half of it. And I'm actually expecting it to kind of almost feel like a split in a way, just because I've already evolved as far as music, and I'm already in a different headspace than I was for the songs that I recorded in October, which I'm
the beginning of a new phase of your artistry.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. I think more confidence probably is part of it, and so that's what's happening in January. Is I'll go finish off that record.
Okay, cool. And when will it be released? Hopefully,
I'm hoping to get it out by 2025. I graduate in 2025, and I think it'd be really fun to graduate and have an album release at the same time.
Right, good. And so band's not the right word, but you are starting to collaborate with other musicians. I think you've done a lot of work in your recordings. You record different instruments yourself, but now you're starting to record with other live musicians. What's that been like? Who are you playing with? Yeah, so I played a show at the Dallas Contemporary Art Museum with that collective DAM, Dallas Ambient Music Nights, who I think they've been going on since I want to say 2010 or so. I could be wrong on that. But I played that show, and I brought on a violinist, Sean Redman, who he has toured with the Polyphonic Spree. He goes on the Coheed and Cambria cruise tour, so that's fun. But he also has some really he's got improvisation skills. I'm not the best band leader, and I'm not the strongest at my theory, so I'm like, if here's the chords I'm playing, can you just follow me with whatever you want to play? And so he had his violin hooked up to pedals, and it was gorgeous. And then when I played South by Southwest last year, I played with Dan Radin, who's a cellist down in the Austin community, and same thing, it was such a cool vibe. So you're finding it's fun to collaborate, let these musicians kind of just add their own thing to what you already have and kind of revision it a little bit. But
especially the string players. The string players fit really well
with their sound.
I'm open to more music. I'm actually, for South by Southwest this upcoming year, I'm gonna have a steel player play some steel ambient with me.
Well, cool. Anything else you want to plug that's coming up? Have you covered everything? South by Southwest.
South by Southwest. So I'm studying physics.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I just signed on to a really cool research project, specifically studying heliophysics, which is the sun. So solar flares, solar storms, bright ideas. And that solar flares cause the aurora, or solar storms cause the aurora, and the aurora also makes noises on the ionosphere, which is our protective layer whenever the photons and particles are hitting it.
What's the sun's favorite band? I mean, what are we hearing?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Here comes the sun.
Here comes the sun.
Sorry, I'm getting off track. Keep going.
There's been there
you got a project coming.
Soak Up the Sun.
Oh, okay, that one's okay.
Sorry.
We got two songs.
But so with the research, I'm going to be doing research on some of the data around the sun, but I get to also translate that data into music called the sonification process, which it's basically you turn it into kind of MIDI files that talk to Logic, and then I'm going to work on some music around that, so turning data into music.
Wow.
So
You make adulting sound fun.
Yeah, it can be.
I didn't know it was possible. You're making it work, and you're in the academic space as well, and still doing it.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, it's been a delight talking to you. Plug your social media for folks who want to follow you.
So I'm at House Keys Tiffany, and it's Tiffiny. I'm probably the only House Keys. Probably. I don't know if
I did
anyone
Google
else.
it. You were the only one.
Yeah.
It sounds like an R&B band, but nothing came up.
Right. Well, I did say, like, if I ever start to play country music here in Fort Worth,
Yeah.
I would be called Horse Keys.
Okay.
So maybe that's coming. But no, it's just House Keys Tiffany. I'm most active on Instagram, and then I'm also housekeysmusic.net is my website.
And you were added as an artist with Amplify 817 recently. That's what kind of started this conversation today. So we want to thank Amplify 817 for everything they do. And so congrats on that. Congrats on X, Y, and Z. You got a lot going on. You're just killing it. So thanks for talking to us about it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for chatting.
Our pleasure.